On his first day back with his wealthy family, our main character immediately starts folding everybody.
Just a second ago, his biological parents were complaining about how he grew up in an orphanage.
They said he was way too uncultured for high society while comforting the crying fake heir.
Saying they only brought him back for an arranged marriage, but then, boom, everything flips.
Our guy completely shuts the fake heir down by asking if he has ever seen his real mother.
He tells him that he saw her kneel and beg him not to kick him out of the Wang family. And do you want to know why? It is because she contracted HIV. She needs medical fees and is terrified that if you leave, she will have no treatment money. He asks Wang Ye if he ever gave her cash, and honestly, Wang Ye is completely stunned. The fake heir just stands there, completely speechless, but our main character does not care at all. He keeps going, asking if the guy even knows his biological father's last name or needs to be told. At this point, the cousin reaches her limit and swings her hand to slap him, telling him to stop. But right before her hand can even connect, there is a massive crash.
A dessert plate is already shattered right over her head. This guy is literally built different.
Bright red blood drips down her hair as her angry glare instantly turns into pure shock and terror. He dusts off his hands and asks what she thought she was doing, trying to hit him. He asks who she thinks she is to lay hands on him, staring at her ugly face. He says he doubts she is even related to this family and suggests she get a DNA test too.
She can go get it done right alongside her cousin, he says, leaning to the side.
He looks right at Wang Ye behind her, asking for his opinion, making Wang Ye look up in shock.
The fake heir glares at our main character as if he wants to tear him to pieces. But in the end, he just holds his head and screams while the old grandmother steps forward and glares in absolute fury. She tells him she knows he dislikes Xiao Ye since they are brothers with very different lives. Growing up so differently means it is natural for him to feel some deep resentment. But she warns him to understand that none of this is Xiao Yi's fault. She says the family owes him and the elders will naturally compensate him for it. However, she adds that this does not mean he can use it as an excuse to bully his brother. She says if the trash family who raised him never taught him manners, she will gladly teach him starting today.
She asks if he has even called her grandmother once since returning, lecturing him about having absolutely zero manners.
Our guy just looks up, staring at this incredibly harsh and strict old woman. He asks her flat out if she ever raised him for even a single day. Now she wants to act like an elder, but he warns her he gave his orphanage director a brain concussion. Just to get him to say grandpa, so maybe she should let him smash her head once too. Then he will gladly call her grandmother, leaving the old lady completely speechless and horrified. She stutters in shock, asking what he just said, while even Wang Ye stops crying. He looks at our guy in absolute disbelief, asking if he has lost his mind talking to grandmother like that. He snaps back, asking whose grandmother she is, since they do not share any blood. He tells him they do not share a grandmother and to stop acting like they are close. At this, the old lady clutches her chest and faints, sending everyone into a total panic.
They start grabbing medicine and carrying her away like they have practiced this exact drill 1,000 times.
The whole party is ruined, and the moment the old lady is brought back to life. She lies in bed weakly yelling at Han Mei that she does not care what happens.
She demands that they either buy him a house in some far-off place or just ship him abroad for school immediately.
She screams that she never wants to see him in the house again, Han Mei being the mother's name. Hearing this, the mother's face looks awful as she asks her what she is even saying.
Mrs. Wang tries playing peacemaker, but Achi immediately shuts her down.
The grandmother scoffs. Nothing to discuss. She even claims AT does not want Mrs. Wang as a mother, forcing our girl to look up.
I never said that.
She clarifies that she only refuses to recognize the grandmother, since Mrs. Wang has not spoken yet.
At this point, everyone in the room is completely jaw-dropped by her confidence. A C takes a step forward, asking Mrs. Wang if she will parrot the old lady. Is Wang Ye her real son? Because if so, she is leaving.
She will gladly admit she came to the wrong place, leaving Mrs. Wang completely and utterly speechless.
Even Wang Ye freezes up, slowly turning to look at his adoptive mother. Seeing her hesitate, his eyes start to turn red, utter heartbreak. He whimpers out a quiet plea, but Mrs. Wang is too scared to even look back.
The girl standing there does not look like a pitiful lost child.
Instead, AC acts like a cold, detached examiner, ready to hand her a failing grade. One wrong move and she is out. Completely out.
She does not understand where these feelings come from, but Mrs. Wang is terrified of losing her. She stammers, pleading with Achi, "Do not be so hostile toward Wang Ye. They raised him for 20 years." But the angry grandmother and Wang Ye both shout, cutting her off. Too late. Everyone in the room heard those words. This gossip is too juicy. Now the old lady is literally gasping for air. Gasping for air, she screams for the guards to throw Achi out immediately. Since Achi refuses to respect her, the family does not need her. No way. With one final scream, she clutches her chest and collapses onto her pillows. Door flies open. Wang Ye steps back. He eagerly calls out to his father, who walks in and coldly scans the room.
Why is everyone crowding here? She needs rest.
The grandmother grabs his hand, whining that she cannot deal with his arrogant new daughter.
She tells Wang Fugi straight up that it is either her or Asi.
From now on, Wang Ye is her only grandchild. If Achi stays, she threatens to end her own life, closing her eyes in drama. She completely shuts down, but Wang Fugi does not look bothered at all. Instead, he turns to Achi, then tells everyone to move to the tea room. He wants to hold an official family meeting. It is time for a showdown. He warns her that grandmother loves Wang Ye. She is old. She cannot take any more shock. So for the old lady's sake, they will absolutely never kick Wang Ye out of the family. But Asia fires right back. I absolutely despise Wang Ye. And the old lady, too.
Choose them. I do not need you as a father. She glares at Wang Fugui, asking if he really thinks she cares about this family. Mrs. Wang is absolutely dumbfounded, and Wang Ye is in complete shock.
Honestly, nobody in the city has ever had the guts to say this to his face. But ACI just did, completely calling his bluff. Surprisingly, Wang Fugi does not look angry as he quietly stares at his daughter. Wang Fugui laughs, telling him not to make this choice sound so easy. Child, that old lady is my mother, and even without blood, Wang Ye is still family. We raised him for 20 years. Even a pet would have deep bonds by now. Let alone a human, so expecting us to unconditionally choose you over him is crazy. Wang Fugui looks at his newly returned biological son, knowing he is not easily pleased. His gaze is gentle, with a hint of playful amusement as he looks down. He tells him that even if he does not care about the Wang family, he still came. Which means there is something here he wants, so why not take it? Wang Fugui then turns to look at Mrs. Wang, who is standing there silently.
He hesitates before patting Wang Si on the head, reassuring him of his mother's love.
Mrs. Wang instantly tears up, and honestly, the emotional payoff here is so real. Finally, Wang Fugui makes the executive decision to end the welcome banquet early.
Since it basically ended before it even started, he tells him to go rest.
Once all the guests leave, he can come back down to meet his siblings. But meeting the siblings is not going to be smooth. Only Wang Roxy is downstairs. She curls her finger at him with a smug smile, asking him to call her sister. Our main character just takes a bite of his bun and tells her to call him brother first. He says it is too cheesy anyway. There is no way he is playing nice, but suddenly footsteps echo from upstairs. Wang Si blinks and calmly mutters that it is probably because he is the real son. He is a fake. Waroxy freezes. She immediately looks up at the stairs, and Wang Si slowly turns around. Turns out Wang Ye is standing right there, staring at him with bloodshot eyes. He runs off crying, while the old grandmother frantically calls his name.
She cannot stop him, and even tries to chase after him down the steps.
But the guy holding her arm pulls her back, asking her how old she thinks she is. He warns her not to chase people on the stairs, while she fumes with absolute rage. Trembling with anger, the old lady slams the banister and points right at Wang Si. She screams, calling him a curse on the family.
She yells that Wang Ye is only a fake if she says so.
She decides who is precious and demands that he get out of the house right now. The guy holding her tells her to calm down before she triggers her illness again. His calm voice completely cuts her off. He has that same calculated, cold vibe that Wang Fugui showed off last night. Wang Qi looks up at this mysterious, long-haired relative whose face is shadowed.
He is holding the old lady firmly, and while it looks like he is helping her, he is actually restricting her movement so she does not tumble down the steps. The butler quickly rushes over to guide the sighing old lady back upstairs. The man adjusts his clothes and slowly walks down, radiating a dangerous, icy wildness.
As he approaches, you can tell this guy's crazy aura comes straight from his soul. He is clearly powerful. He calls our main character Wang Ye in a cold voice. His tone is totally detached, sounding a lot like a colder version of Wang Fugui. Lacking any superficial gentleness, Wang Ye holds his gaze and confirms his identity. He introduces himself as Wang Dabao, his older brother.
Calling him brother just like that is pretty bold. Ruoxi narrows her eyes in pure annoyance. Wait, what? Double standards much? Nobody answers him, but Wang Dabao stares at Wang Ye before slowly speaking. Did you ever stop to think she could have fallen down the stairs in her rage? Wang Ye looks right back without flinching, and Wang Dabao lazily mutters no. Then you better start thinking about it, Wang Dabao replies, not pushing any further. He drops that final warning and heads inside. Cut to half an hour later. The actual bloodline members of the Wang family finally gather around the breakfast table.
Wang Fugui sits at the head, beside Mother and Dabao.
Sitting on either side, since Wang Qi just got back, they break the rules to seat him next to Mother, opposite second uncle. Next to him is Wang Ruoxi, who is facing second aunt. The food is barely laid out, and before anyone can even grab chopsticks, second aunt starts throwing shade, complaining she wasted her time baking grandmother's absolute favorite buns. Talk about a complete waste of effort. How can anyone enjoy breakfast when someone literally made grandmother too sick to eat? The tension immediately gets super awkward, though some people just straight up ignore it. They just eat, but others cannot keep their mouth shut at this point. Didn't we send breakfast to her room? Plus, Wang Ye is keeping her company. She is fine, but second aunt fires back that the biological grandson returns.
And by day 2, he makes her too angry to eat. That is insane. She keeps rolling her eyes, asking how they even dare to mention Wang Ye.
Poor guy was the golden child of this family literally until yesterday. But the moment the real son returns, they immediately replace him.
Now Wang Ye cannot even eat here, yet he still has to soothe
the grandma who was upset by the real grandson. Seriously, think about it. You parents cannot be this incredibly biased. But then she gets interrupted. Wang Dabao speaks up while casually scooping porridge into his own bowl. Is breakfast not tasting good, he asks, since you have time to chat? This is highly aggressive shade, but he makes it sound totally casual.
Second aunt chokes on her words, slamming her chopsticks down instantly.
So I cannot even speak now? Daobao, you are usually a sensible guy around here. Why are you backing Wang Qi? Is a blood connection really that important? Wang Ye has literally followed you two siblings around for years. Calling you brother and sister, and yet you are this cold-blooded? Bam! A much louder slam hits the table from Sister Wang Roxy. She slams her bowl down, staring right at her aunt with absolute fury.
My dad has not even spoken yet, so who are you to lecture him?
Now even second uncle has to chime in to stop the heat. Watch your tone, now that your actual brother is back. You all suddenly caught his rude attitude? At this, Mother totally snaps. She demands to know why they are constantly hating on Wang Ye when he just got back. Second aunt snaps back that he immediately caused a total scene.
Does he think he is some sort of legendary rebel king?
Mother raises her voice. It was literally your trash idea to hide the truth from everyone first. Saying both kids are biological, otherwise we would have handled things way before now. If they had just explained it clearly to everyone, none of this would have happened.
How can she even say that? Discarding a son you raised for 20 years just like that?
Seriously? What do you mean by discarded? An adopted son is still a son, right? We treasure him just as much. How is that the same? A biological son suddenly becoming just an adopted one? You are basically dragging the family's pride through the dirt. Watch your words, sister-in-law. But then, our female lead gently clinks her spoon against the plate, cutting through the noise. She looks straight at Aunt Wang across the table, whispering that it was her idea all along.
Aunt Wang is ready to keep bickering, but the second she meets our female lead's gaze,
She literally shivers in fear and completely forgets whatever garbage she was about to spit out. Honestly, even decades down the line, she still can't shake off that terrifying look. It was like some heartless, inhuman deity staring down at an ant that dared to anger them. There was no disgust, just complete indifference, as if she were looking at mere dust. It is absolutely chilling, leaving her utterly humiliated by how small and powerless she is. That girl is a straight-up monster. No wonder she turned the entire city of Yuzhou upside down. She almost completely wiped out the powerhouse Wen family back then. Years later, a frail, gray-haired Aunt Wang hides abroad, telling her grandkid about this exact moment.
She still curses our female lead to this day, but she makes sure to warn her grandson.
If you ever run into any of her descendants, stay as far away as possible. They probably inherited her terrifying, crazy bloodline. None of them are normal. But hey, that is far in the future. Right now, we are still in the chaotic present.
Back at the breakfast table, they haven't even finished their first meal. It keeps getting interrupted by one dramatic scene after another, but honestly, what a wild start.
Still, our female lead's very first breakfast with this family somehow ends without anyone getting physically folded. Once breakfast wraps up, everyone disperses to go about their busy day. But as she heads to the garden, Wang Roshi corners her, saying she sure knows how to start trouble. She just smirks back, telling her she is quite the actress herself, making Roxy's smile go cold. Roaxi's eyes turn completely icy as she warns her she doesn't care about her hidden agenda. Whether she has some secret plan or is just after the family's cash, their high status, or even their love, she doesn't give a damn. Except for one thing.
She is absolutely not allowed to cause trouble for Wang Dabao, Rushi warns with a freezing glare.
Within just a few hours, Dabao has already cleaned up her mess twice. And those were just minor issues. She knows with her chaotic energy, she is bound to cause a massive disaster soon, so she is laying down the law today. She is giving her a heads up because every single mess the younger kids in this house make always ends up falling on Dabao's shoulders, and she absolutely despises that dynamic. So she better stop causing trouble, or at the very least keep her drama far away from her precious brother. She asks if she can handle that, while the wind rustles the treetops loudly. Our female lead just stares at her, scanning her up and down before slowly speaking.
Ah, so you've got a massive brother complex, huh?
Roixie's face instantly twitches. She looks like she wants to scream a comeback, but she holds it in with pure irritation.
She snaps, asking if she got it, and our lead just nonchalantly says, yeah, she gets it.
Honestly, seeing her cooperate so easily catches Roxy completely off guard. Her expression softens as she pulls a sleek black card seemingly out of thin air. She says she is her biological younger sister after all, so this is her welcoming gift.
Here is $2 million. Take it as some pocket change.
What are you guys doing? A cold, crisp voice cuts right through the air. Our main character turns around to find Wang Dabao standing there. And wow, Wang Roshi's face softens up almost instantly at the sight of him. She calls out to her brother, asking if he is heading to the office.
He is heading to the airport for a business trip, Wang Dabao says, glancing over.
Then his eyes lock onto our main character and he waves him over. The kid obediently walks up, only to get another card shoved straight into his hand.
This one has $5 million, he is told, just pocket change.
Plus, he is getting $300,000 every single month for basic living.
Keeping it beef, the older brother explains that since he just returned, he might not know.
See, their family is filthy rich, but they do not let their kids become freeloaders.
He has to earn his own money, whether starting a business or doing something else.
If he needs startup money, he can just ask while looking at that card. So our guy asks, what about Wang Ye? Is he out there making money too?
Since Wang Ye has not graduated college yet, there is no strict rule for him.
But he already interned at the company, working as a designer.
He makes some side cash now and then, but speaking of age, our main character is only 20, so nobody is forcing him to work yet. The older brother looks like he just remembered something pretty important. This new real brother and Wang Ye, the guy who suddenly became the fake brother, were actually born on the exact same day. Are you still in school? He asks. Our guy just nods, prompting the brother to ask what school he goes to. When he says Beijing University, Wang Dabao's casual look completely freezes. Even Wang Roxy stops in her tracks, looking like she can't believe her ears. She asks if it is that famous Baicheng University? Like, is there any other? Our MC gives her a weird look, while Wang Dabao just stares him down. The brother actually smiles for once, saying it is a crazy coincidence they are alumni. Now he is actually interested in chatting, asking what our guy is studying. A double major in fine arts and psychology? Built different, honestly. Those are both elite majors at Beicheng. The grade requirements are honestly insane. While Wang Ruoxi just rolls her eyes. Soon, summer vacation is coming to an end. When the brother asks about returning to school, our guy drops a major plot twist. He got approved as an exchange student at Yushan University, staying in Yuzhou next semester. Yushan University is the top school in Yuzhou, though not as famous as Beicheng. It is still an elite-tier university. Wang Dabao nods, impressed. He tells him to make friends there, especially since Wang Ye is also at Yushan. Our MC stays dead silent, and the older brother just glances at him. He suggests asking Wang Ye for help, but our main character keeps ignoring him. The brother stays perfectly calm and adds that if he gets into trouble outside, he can always ask Wang Ye for backup. Still, absolute silence from our guy. Wang Ruoxi laughs at this, saying he must really hate Wang Ye. Our MC gives them a weird look, asking why he shouldn't hate him. The older brother calmly warns him that regardless of right or wrong, do not hate him. Because with Grandma backing him up, kicking Wang Ye out of the family is impossible. Besides, Han Mei has pampered Wang Yi for 20 whole years, so there is no way she is kicking him out. Wang Ruoxi tells him that hating the guy is completely useless and only makes him look bitter. But Wang Zi is built different. He literally does not care because nobody on earth can make him feel bitter. It does not matter who he likes or hates, or what this dramatic Wang family even thinks of him. Do they honestly think Wang Yi is going to live happily ever after here? No shot. The one crying in the end will not be him. With that, he walks away without looking back. Watching him walk off, Wang Ruoxi is left standing there, utterly speechless. She realizes his ruthless attitude is actually wild, but at least he will never get bullied.
Perfect. The very next day, exactly as expected. The dramatic duo of Old Lady Wang and Wang Ye starts cooking up another scheme. When Wang Zi walks in, the living room is absolutely packed, so he quietly takes a seat next to Wang Ruoxi. She immediately whispers to him, complaining that his constant troublemaking dragged her back from the office. Apparently, a massive family meeting has been called, but what is it even about? Turns out they are discussing whether to kick him out, with Old Lady Wang already launching her attack. She rants that since nobody listens to her, there is no point in her staying here anymore. She demands Wang Fugi find her a new house so she and Wang Ye can move out. In her mind, moving out is better than staying here and being angered to death by their precious son. Right on cue, Wang Ye acts like the perfect angel, begging his grandmother to stay. He says she cannot leave, and if his brother hates him so much, then he should be the one to go. After all, he claims he is all grown up now and can handle it. He tells her he needs to be independent anyway, so there is no need to worry. Old Lady Wang lovingly caresses his face, protesting that her precious grandson was raised in absolute luxury. She says he deserves to be pampered forever, even if the rest of the family ignores him.
She promises to love him twice as much, while Han Mei quickly defends herself.
But the old lady cuts her off immediately, snapping that their version of caring is a joke. She accuses them of letting Wang Zi bully Wang Ye both at home and in public. To make it worse, they even expect poor Wang Ye to just swallow his anger. Wang Ye plays the victim again, telling grandmother not to blame mom since Wang Zi suffered so much outside. He says it is only natural for the family to try and make things up to him now. Honestly, this green tea acting is crazy. He literally blames himself for not wanting to leave his parents. He cries that he only stayed in the house because he loves everyone too much. As the tears start flowing, the old lady begins sobbing along with him in pure heartbreak. Han Mei quickly calls for tissues, and Wang Dabao immediately hands some over to them. He gently pats Wang Ye on the head, reassuring him that he does not need to beg to stay. He says Wang Ye will always be their son and grandmother's beloved grandson, no matter what. Nobody is going to throw him out. Han Mei chimes in, tenderly wiping away his tears. Sniffling, Wang Yi looks up at Wang Zi with a pathetic, teary-eyed expression. He whimpers, asking if they will always be brothers, while Wang Zi just watches this joke play out.
Honestly, this whole family deserves an Oscar for this performance. But did they really think this would work on him?
That is incredibly naive. Wang Ye just sits there, next to his sister. He enjoys the show as Wang Ye keeps crying and pretending to be the perfect son.
Meanwhile, the old lady and Han Mei keep bickering, making the room incredibly tense. Wang Ruoxi leans over and asks if he is actually not jealous, but he completely ignores her. He just looks down at his phone. But just as the family argument reaches a boiling point, a servant runs in to announce Miss Qin has arrived, and Qinran rolls in on her wheelchair. She calmly proposes a partnership to Wang Fugui, negotiating a business deal right in front of everyone. But the condition is that Wang Ci must stay as the second young master of the family.
Staying in the main house instantly makes the old lady blow her top.
Pointing at him, she screams, accusing him of relying on women to back him up. Telling him to get lost right now, she declares the Wang family
Will never accept such a shameless descendant. And right then, Han Mei suddenly stands up.
Glaring intensely at the old woman, she grabs Wang Ci and pulls him up. Bowing to the matriarch, she says if her child is really that worthless in her eyes, then she will leave the Wang family with him, telling him to bow down quickly. Ordering him to show some manners, she leaves him totally confused, but obediently following along. Han Mei stands back up and coldly states that, as for the divorce she just mentioned, they can go ahead with it. She will have the papers ready. Hearing this, the men of the Wang family instantly freeze like stone statues. Dragging Wang Ci upstairs, she asks him what he is still dazing off for. After telling him to pack, he can only offer a blank reply. But holding her hand tightly, this sudden warmth leaves him slightly overwhelmed, yet a wave of inexplicable emotion rushes through his heart. Seeing this, Qinran regretfully declares the deal is off, throwing a parting blow at Grandma Wang. Grandma Wang got it wrong. Her willingness to do this for Wang Ci? It is strictly because he is Wang Ci. Watching Qinran leave, Wang Ci silently plots his next move.
This game is just starting.
He wants to see what other tricks the Wang family can possibly pull.
It takes a moment for the old lady to process everything, clutching her chest and gasping.
Grabbing her eldest son's arm, she demands to know what his wife is doing. She asks if she has rebelled, but Wang Fugui remains completely expressionless. He coldly says she is tearing them apart. Even Wang Ruoxi finally chimes in coldly, saying she does not want to be a single-parent kid. If the paparazzi catch wind of this, netizens will call the grandmother an unreasonable hypocrite. Who cannot even stand her own daughter-in-law and grandson? Where would she hide her face then? And boom, the old lady successfully faints again, which is honestly hilarious. At this point, the second aunt's family dares not speak up and quickly slips away. Once only the father and son are left, Wang Dabao asks his dad, if Qinran is actually serious about that proposal calling her a ruthless business shark? Wondering why she would offer such terms, he gets cut off before finishing. Wang Fugui shakes his head, noting that she never does anything without a profit. He says they should wait and see. Then he adds, did you not buy the villa next door a few years ago? Instead, she and Wang Ci should move in there first. Later, Wang Fugui walks back to his room, sees the packed bags, and sighs. Asking if she is actually divorcing him, he gets a silent glare. She remembers her oldest son's cold face, making that rare, almost pleading request earlier.
So she turns to Wang Shi instead, asking if they can temporarily stay next door.
Promising him that absolutely no one will bother them there. Wang Ci has no objections and quietly nods. So Wang Daobao personally drives them over, loaded down with all of Han Mei's heavy luggage. He drops them off at the white villa next door, then looks over at Wang Qi with a puzzled face. He asks if that's seriously all of his luggage, considering the kid is literally an art student. Don't artists usually have tons of specialized tools and old sketchbooks lying around everywhere? Keeping his usual cold face, Wang Ci tells him that he actually has a ton of stuff. But everything is still back at the orphanage because he wasn't sure if he could even bring them here. Hearing that makes Han Mei grab his hand tightly, her eyes instantly filling with tears as she sighs.
Why on earth wouldn't you bring them? She asks. Keeping things in your own home is completely normal.
But Wang Ci shakes his head. She's got it all wrong.
He's not leaving his stuff behind out of fear or hesitation. He's just not sure about them yet.
Specifically, whether they even have the right to be called his family? Nah, that's actually insane.
Even Wang Worxi and Wang Fugui, who are busy carrying bags, instantly freeze right in their tracks.
Everyone turns to look at him in shock, but the kid just keeps talking like it's nothing. He explains that his standards for family are insanely high, and if he can't fully trust a place, how could they ever be trusted to keep his most precious belongings? But right as he says this, Wang Dabao smacks him right on the back of his head, bending down to press his forehead against his. He stares straight into the kid's eyes, telling him that he has no clue. How on earth did Wang Xi get all of these incredibly weird, complicated thoughts in his head? But since he's on Dabao's turf now, he won't let him talk so wildly and hurt their mom's feelings. No way, not happening. Then Dabao's tone softens up. He asks what exactly it's going to take for him to finally feel safe bringing his stuff over. After thinking for a second, Wang Xi says first off, he's never living in that main Wang house. Otherwise, what if that toxic old grandma tries to kick him out again? Dabao immediately stands up straight. He offers him the house on the spot, but Wang Xi just frowns. Do I look like someone who just steals houses? He asks. And honestly, the kid is built different. Instead, he wants the house transferred directly under their mom's name. And besides him and mom, absolutely nobody is allowed inside this house without getting permission or calling ahead first. With that, he heads upstairs, leaving the four of them in the living room completely speechless. Han Mei covers her face in deep regret, sobbing that this is all entirely her own fault. How could she have failed to recognize her own biological son back then? If she hadn't, Wang Xi wouldn't have suffered so much. Seeing this, Wang Dabao quickly kneels down in front of her. He gently takes her hands and reassures her that things are honestly not as bad as they look. Doesn't she see it? Sure, Wang Xi keeps his guard way up around the rest of them. But you are the one person he actually wants to trust. Wang Roxy immediately chimes in to agree. Seriously, why else would he insist on having Dabao transfer the entire house directly over to her? With her there, he will actually bring his things. Even Wang Fugui silently nods, agreeing that the kid is trying to make this a home, making Han Mei look up through her tears. She asks if Wang Xi really trusts her that much, while Worxi gently pulls out a soft handkerchief. She gently wipes her mother's tears, pointing out that them living alone here is honestly a massive win. With Wang Xi's incredibly sharp personality, staying at the main house would have literally driven their grandma to the grave. Plus, with grandma constantly nagging, it would have been pretty hard for mom to fully take his side. He never would have let his guard down there, so this setup is actually much better for everyone. Now you can finally focus on rebuilding your bond with him without any of that family drama. Han Mei's eyes light up instantly as she squeezes Wang Ruxi's hands, realizing she is absolutely right. You are so right, she says, while Ruoxi just slumps her shoulders and lets out a massive sigh. You guys probably noticed too, Wang Qi is built different. Dabo originally figured orphanage kids would either be way too obedient or super rebellious, but after talking with him, he just shakes his head, frowning deeply. His vibe is way more complex. He turns to Wang Fugui's dad. You investigated him, right? Any results? How exactly did he grow up there? Just then, hurried footsteps echo from upstairs. Their talk cuts short as Ruxi runs to the hallway. She looked super excited for once, demanding the room by the big tree. Hurry up and give Mom the deed, she begs her brother. Dabo just freezes, stunned by that cheerful call of brother. He has been called brother for years, but this time felt totally different. It was like experiencing being an older brother for the first time. Driving home, Dabao pulls over and calls for Dad. He wants answers to Roxi's questions too. Fugui just stares outside. Honestly, the background check came back normal, exactly what they expected. Wang Xi grew up in that orphanage and never left. The only weird detail is that the place got heavy funding from wealthy elites. Huahe County is a small town famous for flowers, but some old news made its poverty go viral, drawing in massive billionaire funding. Tons of massive corporations started doing charity work there to farm good PR. The Wang family was one of them. Then Dabao suddenly speaks up. Wait, did not something else go down there? A massive scandal? Something about the girls in that orphanage like 7 years ago? Back then, a popular online artist named Yuan Shaoqi loved using his detailed, warm style to capture real-life scenes. Within 6 months, he gained 5 million followers who called him the anime healer. With all this hype, Yuan Shaoqi started publishing a new short comic. This was his only short series, and the main characters were kids in an orphanage. Even though that premise sounds super depressing, Yuan Shaoqi's art style was so cozy that the orphans did not look miserable. Instead, they were cheerful, cute, and happy.
There was some faint sadness, but mostly just heartwarming daily life. Even the simplest chapters had readers crying and laughing at the same time.
So the story kept updating under a massive spotlight. Eventually, it hit a major turning point teased since chapter 1. The billionaire donor was finally arriving at the orphanage. To prepare, the kids had been practicing songs and dances daily. They got into plenty of cute mishaps, but the big day finally came. It was time for the kids to show off their hard work. Fans reading weekly could not wait to see what adorable antics would happen next. They expected a wholesome, tear-jerking climax, and they technically got it. But beneath the cozy vibes, readers noticed a really creepy discrepancy. One top comment literally asked, "Is this just my imagination?" When little A talks about chatting with his uncle, something feels seriously off. Like, why is this rich charity guy bypassing the director completely?
Instead, he wants private meetings with the kids. And why did little C change clothes after just half a day?
Plus, they are clearly super expensive new clothes. I have a really bad feeling about this. Meanwhile, the webtoon keeps updating. As the plot moves forward, it gets worse. The author literally stuffs these incredibly creepy details right into the middle of cute, wholesome daily scenes.
The kids keep getting pulled away for private chats with that uncle, and when they come back,
they are suddenly loaded with expensive gifts and wearing brand new clothes. But then, some of these kids suddenly get sick and stay bedridden for days. And during playtime, you can literally see horrific bruises hidden right under their shirts. Yet the rest of the comic stays completely innocent and sweet.
The orphanage looks so warm, but trust me, nobody in the comments is crying happy tears anymore.
Chills are running down everyone's spines, but some readers still refuse to believe the dark truth. They keep spamming the comments, begging Yuan Shaoqi for answers, but the author stays completely silent. The story just keeps dragging us forward, cold and absolutely merciless. Then the final chapter drops and a random new character suddenly appears. It is an outsider looking totally lost as he wanders in. He stumbles into this isolated orphanage, spending the sunny afternoon playing games with the kids. They laugh, they run around, and the kids even drag him over to the wall. He leaves a messy doodle on the brick, wrapping up his little visit. Humming a song, he flips a black chess piece in the air and turns to walk away. But right as he heads for the exit, he passes by a dusty, dark window.
He takes one casual glance inside and freezes dead in his tracks.
A messy bed, scattered colorful hair ties, crumpled up kid clothes, and then he sees a patch of bare skin. It is a child's skin, covered in horrific bruises. The guy's eyes widen in pure shock.
He leans closer to the glass, trying to see the child, but before he can,
a pair of filthy, cloudy eyes suddenly slam against the glass. The second-to-last panel shows a monster's eye. That massive eyeball completely blocks the dirty, dusty window. The pupil is tiny, and the white of the eye is completely bloodshot. It stares right back at him like a predator locking onto its prey. And the final panel, it shows a single black chess piece. It drops onto the dusty ground and shatters in a silent, stark white void. That is how the story ends, but in the bottom right corner of that final panel, there is a cold line of text. This story is based on real events. Written by Yuan Shaoqi. Back then, even the powerful Wang family was caught up in it. No wonder I remember this so clearly. It triggered the biggest media storm of the year.
The artist gained millions of followers overnight, and police stations everywhere were flooded with calls.
People were obsessed, dissecting every single panel to find hidden clues. Everyone wanted to uncover the real-life horror behind the comic. Then, hackers got involved. They leaked the artist's IP address, pointing everyone directly to Wahai County. That finally forced the authorities to step in and launch a massive investigation. And when the final results dropped, the wealthy elites across the country were absolutely shook. The scandal was massive. Even the powerful Wang family took a major hit.
As his memories rushed back, Wang Dabao's expression grew incredibly dark. Back when it all went down, Wang Qi was at a different orphanage.
Wang Fugui cuts him off. His investigation says otherwise. That place was dirt poor, barely taking in any kids at all. Mostly disabled children, and here is the crazy part. He actually spoke to Director Sun online after tracking down Wang Xi.
No shot the director was involved in human trafficking, letting Dabao relax.
He sighs in relief, but Fugui is dead silent.
Wang Qi is cold and savage, definitely not raised in a normal place.
He knew it. Something is seriously wrong with their reports. I will have someone run a fresh check, he mutters, eyes cold. Then he turns to Dabao, asking if his trip was last minute.
Business as usual. He will handle the family. And Dabao nods. The car restarts. 2 days later, our boys' packages finally arrive. While the courier sweats bullets under the sun, Wang Xi just chills.
Someone once told him he's just a wild dandelion, ready to drift with the wind, rooting wherever he lands.
He scoffed at the poetic drama, but that person knew him too well. It made him paranoid of every word they said, leaving him unsure. Can he actually grow in this gilded cage of gold?
Or find the peaceful, happy life he has always wanted?
Leaning against the tree, he gets totally lost in thought. Can these blood relatives ever live up to his expectations? Not a chance. Here comes his annoying stepbrother Wang Ye holding an umbrella. He starts bragging that Qinran took Wang Xi to his private estate. Warns him that the place is dangerous, telling him to be careful. Are you really ready to get engaged to him? He sneers.
Sure, his family background is perfect, but he is a cripple.
He fake sighs, saying it is a shame about the car accident. Otherwise, we would not even need you back, making our boy scoff. He tells him straight up, if you are playing the victim card, save it. Then you can honestly just get lost.
Wang Ye ignores the insult, bringing up their mom's old drama.
Everyone calls him a jinx, but the stepbrother claims he defended him.
Whatever. The courier finishes and Wang Xi heads inside. But this annoying kid just will not shut up, following him like a puppy.
He brags about visiting mom today for their weekly bonding sessions. Sometimes cooking, sometimes flower arranging, absolute peak rich kid hobbies.
Want to join us? He asks, flashing a smug little grin. Wang Xi stops dead in his tracks, catching that toxic smirk.
The kid is begging for a jealous reaction, but he gets absolutely nothing. Facing that freezing, unbothered stare, his smug smile completely dies. Next thing you know, the massive iron gate slams shut in his face.
He is left standing there, stunned, screaming about what that meant.
Silence, just one cold glance before walking away.
Staring at Wang Xi's departing back, the kid's face twists with pure rage.
Perfect, Wang Ye thinks, since she is the one blocking him from seeing mom. Sneering, he folds his parasol, thanking her in his head for literally handing him this perfect setup. Meanwhile, our MC simply walks back inside, sits on the couch, and watches him bake under the sun. He stands completely frozen outside, and the minutes slowly tick away.
Soon, Wang Ye starts feeling dizzy under that incredibly brutal afternoon sun.
Sweat completely drenches his clothes and hair as he occasionally looks up.
Seeing our MC sitting inside like an absolute rock, he thinks to himself in a daze.
You better not let me in, and don't you dare get scared of the blame now. Just keep watching, because it will be even better if I collapse from heat stroke right here. Eventually, his vision goes completely blurry and everything starts spinning. But deep down in his mind, actual terror suddenly starts to creep in. He feels a sudden, terrifying panic. What if he actually dies out here? Honestly, our MC is built different. Why is she so calm? Anyone else would fall for this pity play. She didn't even bother leaving the room to pretend she didn't know he was there.
Is she seriously not afraid of mom and dad getting mad? Or does she just not care if he dies?
Does she actually want him dead? The sun beats down brutally. Wang Ye shivers despite the burning heat, praying he'll just hurry up and pass out. Finally, the sound of the front door swinging open rings out as a car screeches to a halt behind him. A smug smirk creeps onto his face, and he finally lets himself collapse into unconsciousness. Just 1 minute earlier, Han Mei had stretched and walked downstairs.
After a great afternoon nap, she walks down and spots our MC chilling on the sofa, staring outside. Following her daughter's gaze out the window, Hen Mei's eyes instantly widen in pure shock. Our MC nonchalantly asks if that is really Wang Ye out there. Han Mei's voice cracks completely as she asks how long he has been standing out there. Our MC coldly checks the time, 2.5 hours, and Mei instantly bolts for the door. She literally bumps into the coffee table and loses a shoe in her rush to get the door open. As a wave of heat hits her face, Han Mei can't hold back anymore. She cries out for Wang Ye in sheer panic, and right then, his trembling body begins to fail. He completely collapses backward, right at that exact second. Just then, Wang Ruoxi pulls up in her car and rushes to grab him. He is burning hot. Is it a fever or heat stroke? What on earth happened here? Her lips trembling, Han Mei grabs Wang Ruoxi's arm with a completely helpless look on her face.
Wang Ruoxi just purses her lips, trying to stay calm in the absolute chaos.
She carries him inside the villa, and their family doctor arrives in no time. After checking him, the doctor confirms it's heat stroke and frowns, telling them they were way too careless. He warns them that young Master Wang Ye has weak health, so this can absolutely never happen again. Han Mei sits by the couch, desperately trying to cool Wang Ye down with ice packs. She just keeps her head down in silence, while Dr. Zhao can't help but glance over at our MC.
He scoffs, but honestly, our girl is not about to let that slide.
Her pitch-black, freezing stare locks right onto him, completely pinning him to the spot. She instantly sees right through what he is thinking, but she literally doesn't care and just looks away. Dr. Zhu completely freezes for 3 seconds, his fingers twitching in fear. He practically runs out of there, leaving only the family behind. Now that the outsider is gone, the massive villa falls into an even deeper, absolute silence.
Our MC stays dead silent, and Han Mei doesn't even dare to speak.
Wang Ruoxi finally snaps, grabbing our girl's wrist and dragging her straight out the room. Han Mei watches them leave, wanting to shout, but ultimately just turning her head away. Looking at the still unconscious Wang Ye, she finally sheds a single tear. Our MC gets thrown aside, nearly slamming face first onto the hard floor. She looks up at Ruoxi to ask what she's doing, but smack! A sharp slap cuts her off, and Ruoxi coldly demands what she thinks she's doing. I should be asking you that, Roxy spits, reminding her how much she hates Wang Ye. Sure, the whole family tolerated her attitude, but that doesn't mean they'll let this slide. You're literally abusing him, Ruoxi yells. Do you actually want him dead? Touching her stinging cheek, our girl's thoughts seem to wander for a second.
She slowly mumbles back that no, he's the one who wanted to die. If it were you, locked outside the house under the blazing sun, what would you do? Leave or keep standing there, she asks, since everyone knows he's just playing victim.
Roshi scoffs. Even if it's just a pity play, it's still life-threatening.
If there is even a 1% chance of danger, we have to stop it.
So even if he actively seeks death, it's still the bystander's fault?
Wuxi gnashes her teeth, furious at how utterly heartless her sister is being.
He isn't a stranger, she reminds her. Their parents raised him for 20 years.
We've called him our brother for 2 whole decades. Do you know how long that is? Even a dog becomes family after that long, and he's 10,000 times more obedient than you.
Caressing her cheek, our girl just tilts her head and asks what that has to do with her.
Roxi's pupils contract in absolute shock, completely speechless at this point.
I told you yesterday, our MC says coldly, nobody enters this house without my permission. You all agreed, yet you broke my rules within a single day. Roshi steps forward and grabs her shoulders, asking if she's completely lost her mind.
We are talking about a human life here, she screams.
No matter how much you hate him, you can't just... But our girl cuts her off. Why should I cherish something he doesn't even value himself?
Is him seeking death normal to you, or did you seriously expect me to be some saint?
Ruoxi falls silent, her grip on our MC's shoulders tightening harder and harder.
Do you have any idea who you're hurting the most with this behavior?
It's Mom, she whispers, who's trying so hard to love and make things up to you. Yesterday, she literally chose you over the entire Wang family without a single hesitation. Our girl's expression finally flickers just a tiny bit. And today, you make her watch her own children tear each other apart? Do you actually understand how cruel that is to a mother?
The sun beats down intensely as Ryoxi confronts her right there. At this blistering temperature, she asks, "Can you even imagine standing out here yourself for 2.5 hours?"
But right after saying it, Roxy suddenly senses that something is incredibly wrong. She's only stood here for a few minutes and is already burning up.
Yet our MC hasn't reacted at all, her skin still feeling ice cold.
Breaking the heavy silence, our girl simply asks if this temperature is supposed to be hot.
Back in Hua County, summers hit 40 degrees without any air conditioning or fans in the orphanage.
She scoffs with a cold stare. 2.5 hours is nothing. He asks how she can explain him surviving 17 freezing summers in a place like that.
He literally forces Wang Roxy's hand away, reaching up to touch his own freshly slapped face.
Holding his face, he just stares down this woman. She actually slapped him, even though his last beating was 10 years ago. Wang Roxy's fingers twitch while her brain desperately tries to convince her that she did absolutely nothing wrong here. But a strange feeling creeps up, leaving the very fingertip she used to slap him completely numb. He takes a step forward, tilting his head slightly to look right at Wang Ryoxi.
He tells her that he really should have paid her back for that slap, but their blood connection officially cancels it out.
But this is a one-time pass, so she better never lay a finger on him again. He warns Wang Ryoxi that he is not here begging for their cheap family affection. Beggars have no right to lecture people from above, and with that, he turns and enters the villa. Passing the sofa, he pauses for a quick second, but Han Mei refuses to even look up.
Staring at her back, he calmly tells her that when that girl wakes up, she needs to leave.
He adds that if there is ever a next time for this kind of stunt, he will make the exact same choice, so she can go ahead and keep trying if she is not afraid to die. Han Mei visibly shivers as our guy heads straight upstairs without even looking back once. Meanwhile, Wang Ye, who was totally faking being asleep on the sofa, cannot keep up the act anymore. She slowly opens her eyes under Han Mei's deeply concerned gaze and asks her softly, "Mom, do you really want to stay here forever? Or is it that I will not even be allowed to see your face anymore?" Han Mei just holds her hands silently without saying a word. Tears start dripping down Wang Ye's pitiful face right as Wang Rushi walks inside from the front door. She locks eyes with Wang Ye's teary gaze, who immediately whimpers, "Sister, thank you for just now." She claims she thought she was actually going to die, while Wang Ruxi ignores her to help Han Mei up first. Then she looks down coldly at Wang Ye and says, "If that is the case, why did you stand outside for so long?" Wang Ye stammers, "I thought brother would open the door." Even though tears keep pouring down her face, Wang Ruxi remains completely unmoved by her act. She even scoffs, pointing out that since he already totally embarrassed her at the banquet, how could she seriously expect him to turn around and show her any kind of mercy now? She mocks her, saying she never realized Wang Ye was such a saint who returns evil with good. Wang Ye's fake smile completely freezes, and she starts to panic inside. She instantly starts to hate Wang Roixi too, before instinctively reaching out to clutch Han Mei's hand to play victim once again. She cries out, "Mom!" I was just so emotional and overwhelmed that I could not think straight. She begs her mother to come back, promising she will beg Grandma to let their brother stay too. She claims she is terrified, saying her mother should at least not live alone with him. She suggests having their brother or sister stay to accompany her, making Han Mei look at her with sudden doubt. Wang Yi quickly avoids her gaze, looking down and clutching her skirt tightly in frustration. She claims she does not want to speak ill of him, but his personality is just way too dangerous. She whimpers that she knows she is just an adopted daughter with no right to speak up. But she just cannot help worrying about her mother, pleading that she knows how it is. She mentions that while Grandma has a bad temper, she actually deeply loves and dotes on all of them. But the moment their brother returned, he ended up making Grandma faint from pure anger multiple times. And because of that, she had to move out, which makes Wang Ye feel genuinely terrified. Saying this, she looks up to reveal a face completely covered in crocodile tears. She says she is not afraid of being abandoned, but she is terrified that their perfect 20-year-old home will completely fall apart when they used to be so incredibly happy together. She claims she wanted to share this happiness with her brother, but asks why it has to be so hard. Those words hit Han Mei's mind like a literal bolt of lightning.
She freezes completely still for a moment, then gently brushes Wang Ye's hair. "Mom made you suffer, Wang Ye," she says, and he immediately looks up with hope.
Are you finally coming back with me? But Han Mei pauses and shakes her head.
Wang Ye is absolutely devastated, asking, "But Mom, why?" "I am just so worried," and she replies, "That is exactly why.
I need to stay by his side and actually get to know him.
I must understand why he became like this," Han Mei says with a sad smile.
Xiao Ye, you are a really good kid, she says softly.
"I appreciate you trying to understand, and I know you want to accept AC. And you want him to accept you too. But Xiao Ye," she says with deep worry. "Originally, Atsi was supposed to spend those 20 happy years in the Wang family." Wang Ye freezes instantly, all the fake pity in his eyes turning to cold ice. How Mei forces a bitter laugh, saying they can just treat her like a foolish mother. Faced with a rebellious son, she only knows how to protect him instead of teaching him. "It is true that I am useless, but this is the only way I can think of." She stands up and tells Wang Ye that she will have his sister take him back. "Do not come here unless it is important, because Achi really holds a major grudge. Even if you get hurt because of him, I cannot easily get you justice. So protect yourself," she says. Wang Ye cannot believe what he is hearing.
His mouth twitches nervously as he asks, Mom, what do you even mean by that?
"What I mean is, as of right now, I am just a completely useless mother who is desperate to fix things with her youngest son." She glances at Wang Roxy and adds, "If you two actually care about me."
Then stop coming here to make a mess!
With that, she heads upstairs. Wang Ye stands frozen in shock for a long time before looking at his sister. But Wang Roxy is even more shocked, remembering how their mom acted when she rebelled.
Now this is some crazy double standards. Wait, did you hear the latest gossip?
The third son who made Chie suffer actually forced Wang Ye to stand outside until he fainted. Word is Aunt Han fought with the grandma, packed up, and moved out with Wang Qi.
She is even threatening to divorce President Wang. This third son is actually built different.
Can anyone even control him? Where are Wang Dabao and Wang Roixi? Those two are supposed to be absolute powerhouses, yet they cannot stop one newcomer. Now, news about our favorite troublemaker is completely taking over the local Yuzhou network. Of course, Wang Fugui and Wang Dabo both find out about the family crisis. But neither says a word, and Wang Fugui issues a strict order to the mansion. Nobody is allowed to tell the grandmother about Wang Ye fainting. With his threat hanging over her, Wang's second aunt dares not open her mouth. As for Wang Ye, the exact moment he arrives back at the family mansion,
He receives a direct call from Wang Fugui, warning him to stop. Do not ruin the relationship with Wang Xi any further, or you will give Grandma a heart attack.
"It will not affect Wang Xi at all," the father says sharply over the phone. "You probably do not want to lose your grandma as a protective shield, do you?" Wang Ye grips his phone so hard that his knuckles turn completely white. Biting his lip to hold back tears, he asks, "Dad, why are you doing this to me? Is a blood connection really that deep? Can it actually make you overnight? Just treating me like a total stranger? If this were the past?" There is absolutely no shot Wang Ye would ever dare to speak to him like this. He was too spoiled, and after getting scolded by Wang Fugui, he never dared raise his voice. But right now, for the first time in years, Wang Ye is practically screaming into his phone. He cries out that he called him dad for 20 years and truly acted like his son. Yet after meeting Wang Xi only a few times, his father is already threatening him. Rather than a threat, this is more like advice, Wang Fugui calmly replies. He does not even pause to care, stating in an icy tone that yes, just like he said, even if the blood tie is fake, those 20 years of memories are still very real. And that is exactly why he wants Wang Ye to have a secure future. But Wang Yi is not buying it, crying that his dad is totally favoring Wang Xi. Choking on his tears, Wang Ye asks if his dad even cares that heat stroke can literally kill. He asks if his dad knows what he thought before passing out, that dying would be easier. That way, he would finally escape all this crushing fear and pain. He has never suffered like this before. After a heavy silence, a long sigh comes from the phone. His father tells him that his dramatic whining only proves he still has hope left in him. the hope that the father and the entire family will choose him over the real heir. Wang Ye tries to deny wanting to abandon Wang Si, but his father cuts him right off.
He gets hit with the cold, hard truth. There is absolutely no shot of that happening. As long as the father is alive, the family will never make that kind of choice.
Bro, his dad is chillingly heartless here. He literally tells Wang Ye to wake up to reality.
He says the only way Wang Ye can survive in this family now is by playing nice with Wang Si. Getting along with him and their grandmother is his absolute last lifeline for peace.
And if he cannot even manage that, then he needs to at least stay out of the way.
Otherwise, he will be the one paying the price. This harsh reality leaves Wang Ye completely speechless. He cannot comprehend why his adoptive family is suddenly treating him so ruthlessly. But the father calmly replies that only he is the heartless one, and if Wang Ye changes,
he can still live like a pampered young master. With that final warning, the father hangs up.
The final warning is for him not to make his mother sad. Staring at his screen in shock, Wang Ye slowly turns to his older sister, Wang Ruoxi. He asks her if Wang Si is not the real one hurting their mother. Wang Ruoxi just looks at him quietly. Honestly, she has seen every side of him.
She is totally used to her brother acting either super obedient or insanely spoiled. But seeing his eyes so completely dead and hopeless melts away any annoyance she had.
Her heart completely softens up.
Passing him some tissues, she turns away, admitting that both of them are actually breaking her heart. But their mother carries a massive, crushing guilt toward Wang Si, and like Wang Ye said,
he wanted to share his comfortable life with Wang Si, but here is the brutal truth. That privilege and happiness originally belonged to Wang Si in the first place. This is actually so sad. By a complete twist of fate, Wang Ye got his stolen dream. And seeing how Wang Si turned out after growing up in God knows where, he is the real victim. Hearing this, Wang Ye completely freezes as a wave of sudden realization hits him. He bitterly regrets trying to evoke his mother's nostalgic memories earlier.
By trying to look good, he just highlighted how much Wang Si suffered.
Talk about bad luck, but Wang Ye just hung his head and muttered that being raised with such a lawless personality is crazy. But honestly, doesn't that just prove his past 20 years were actually pretty good? I mean, without someone constantly spoiling him? How could he have ended up this way? Wang Ruoxi had absolutely no reply to that. She just told him to wipe his tears, reminding him that his health was already in bad shape. Overthinking would only make things worse, so she told him to just head back to sleep. The two of them headed back into the Wang mansion. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Wang Fugui hung up his phone and looked up, taking in the entire building standing right in front of him. The moment he whispered the words Hua Ji Hei, a white-haired elderly man walked right out of the gates. Wang Fugui quickly adjusted his tie and strode forward to meet him. He actively reached out his hand with a level of deep respect he had never shown anyone before. You must be Director's son. I have been looking forward to this meeting for a very long time.
I am Wang Qi's biological father, Wang Fugui from Yuzhou.
President Wang actually bowed his head in front of this much shorter elderly man.
He calmly and sincerely told him he could just call him Xiao Wang. But then, things took a turn.
This seemingly gentle and incredibly polite old director did not even reply right away. Behind his reading glasses, his eyes scanned Wang Fugui up and down, sizing him up completely before letting out a mysterious laugh. You really took your sweet time getting here, did you not? A father like you will probably never win Shi Yi's heart in this lifetime. Wang Fugui had just stood up straight when he got hit with this sudden verbal attack, causing his usually calm composure to waver. His secretary, standing right behind him, silently raised an eyebrow, shooting a sharp glare at this incredibly bold old director. Having worked by his boss's side for so many years, this was literally the first time he had ever heard anyone speak to his boss with such sharp, critical words. Sure, he knew the goal of this trip was to learn about the third young master's past. But this whole visit was basically the father lowering himself to accommodate the kid. Why was this old director making it sound like the third young master was the one calling all the shots? Seriously, this is wild, but the director did not dwell on that topic for long. He just patted the two kids, hiding behind his back, and turned toward the security booth, asking if they wanted to go inside and look around.
Shi Yi used to love hanging out here.
Wang Fugi froze, but the two kids suddenly got incredibly hyped.
She's coming back. Grandpa, Ma, when is she coming back?
I have a drawing I want to show them. The director gently patted their heads.
Did I not tell you guys? She probably won't be back for a very long time.
But when is he coming back? The two kids instantly looked visibly deflated.
I still wanted him to teach me how to write. Well, that depends on what kind of person this uncle is. Following Director Sun's words and gaze, the children also tilted their heads up to look at Wang Fugi.
Director Sun looked straight into Wang Fugi's eyes and said with a sighing smile,
If this uncle turns out to be a really good dad, then she probably won't return for a very long time. But if this uncle is not a good dad, then she might be back real soon. The kids blinked in confusion a few times, then tugged on Wang Fugui's pants, calling out to him. Hey, uncle, can you please be a bad dad? We really want Shi to come back. And man, that is low-key heartbreaking. Before President Wang could even figure out how to handle these two incredibly blunt kids, Director Sun shooed them away, citing the two kids running off hand in hand. Wang Fugui remarked that they seemed to really love Achi, and Director Sun just laughed. Yeah, the kids in this entire orphanage absolutely love him. Wang Fugui fell silent for a moment before speaking up. It seems like he's totally different here than with the Wang family. Dean's son just paused. Then he threw his head back and laughed. You didn't actually think that in the orphanage he was some sweet, well-behaved kid, the good big brother all the other kids looked up to, right? And they're like, wait, he wasn't? Dean's son just shuts them down. Of course not.
11 is not the type to change who he is, no matter the environment.
Dean's son looks at the empty space where the two kids just vanished.
He raises his chin and says these two kids, one he taught calligraphy, the other he taught painting. Both of them within a year.
He made cry at least 10 times with his harsh criticisms. Kids like that are everywhere here. Honestly? Wang Fugyai and his secretary stare at the old man, who has a look of absolute pride written all over his face, leaving both of them completely speechless. Wait, did you just say AC actually likes staying in the security booth? Yes, Director Sun says, walking over. Honestly, the orphanage did not even have a security booth in the very beginning. It was only built later when some kind donor stepped in to upgrade the facilities around the place. But it was abandoned just a few years later, and from that moment on,
11 just loved sneaking inside. This tiny security booth had one massive window built into it,
where he could sit and watch all the cars and people passing by outside the main gate.
Stepping around the window and walking through that narrow door, Wang Fugui instantly freezes in shock.
From the outside, this little security booth looks incredibly small and run down. But inside, there is an incredibly elegant desk level with the window, along with a big, soft old sofa. Everything is kept so clean and organized, making it feel like someone still hangs out here every single day.
But honestly, that is not even the craziest part. What really blows his mind
are the endless, beautiful flowers painted all over the old walls. It is a total masterpiece.
For real, it makes him feel like he just stepped into a real field of flowers. But once he snaps out of it and looks a bit closer, he realizes
these are actually all hand-drawn. No paint, no spray cans, nothing like that at all.
He used simple colored pencils covering everything from the floor all the way to the ceiling. A massive sea of different flowers that look like they are actively swaying in the wind. They bloom endlessly in this tiny, cramped space, making you feel like you can literally hear the wind rustling. 11 drew all of this, Director Sun explains, bending down to pull a worn-out notebook from the desk. Right after this place was completely abandoned and left empty. 11 volunteered to be the security guard here, making every single visitor write down their name and phone number.
Let me find it for you, the old director mutters, flipping through the pages before holding the notebook up. Look, he says, pointing to the handwriting. It starts right here.
The entire second half of this book is completely filled by him, and during that time, he turned this entire booth into a masterpiece. It actually scared the life out of me back then.
Wang Fugui takes the notebook, looking closely at the yellowed pages. Names and phone numbers are written in all sorts of colored pencils, page after page without end. But for some weird reason, Wang Fugui just cannot bring himself to stop flipping through them. Through the soft rustling of the flipping pages, he can almost see the shadow of a little boy. A tiny kid sitting by that wide-open window, handing a book and pencil to everyone entering, asking them so politely if they could please write down their name and phone number.
Thank you, he would say, as a fragrant breeze suddenly sweeps through the window, flipping several pages at once.
The rustling sound feels just like ocean waves, slowly fading that soft shadow into the warm sunlight.
Wang Fugi shuts the notebook and asks if he can have it. The director smiles and shakes his head.
You still have plenty of time left to make memories with him.
Leave this to an old man like me, Director Sun says, taking it back.
He carefully tucks it inside his drawer, saying everything 11 left behind is too precious. Every single trace of him at the River of Flowers is incredibly precious.
The kids even protect and organize his things, so do not say that again.
The children will get anxious if they hear you. Let us go to the office.
As they walk to the office, the old man shares some interesting history.
He chats with Wang Fugi, mentioning this place was once called Blue Sky. After getting sponsored, they renamed it, and 11 actually came up with the name.
The old man walks with his hands behind his back. Laughing, he greets the kids. I still remember that day so clearly when some reporters came to interview us. They set up their cameras, planning a special segment to rename the orphanage.
They wanted to capture the kids playing innocently under the shade of the trees.
Right over there, Director Sun says, pointing toward a massive pear tree.
It was spring back then, and the tree was covered in white pear blossoms.
All the other kids were racking their brains, shouting out all kinds of ideas. But 11 just sat to the side looking completely bored, tinkering with a wooden box. Only when the other kids were about to start fighting did someone finally ask him.
He looked up and said, "Do not call it an orphanage. This is my home."
Let us call it the River of Flowers, he said, holding up his box. He opened the lid. Countless white petals swept up in the breeze, showering all over his face.
They drifted toward the distant hills, making it look like a box overflowing with flowers.
Someone pinched his nose, laughing that little 11 was shameless for comparing himself to flowers. No, you are the shameless one, 11 argued. I just really like the name. Lon Hai dodged the hand, laughing as he tumbled backward into the soft grass. Who knows how long he spent collecting those petals, but they kept flying out. They rained down in the warm sunlight before the next breeze swept them into the sky.
It is crazy how vivid that memory still is, the director says, staring at the tree. He pauses for a moment, then leads Wang Fugi around the corner. Suddenly, it feels like a strong wind is blowing, yet everyone is completely still.
Then his secretary gasps. The scene from the director's memory literally comes to life right in front of them. Spanned across the wall is a massive painting of brilliant sunlight and roaring wind. There is an endless sea of flowers under a clear sky filled with drifting petals.
Now, Wang Fugi has seen countless top-tier art auctions, but even he is totally stunned.
This piece is a literal masterpiece, and though many artists paint beautiful seas of flowers, almost nobody can make every flower and breeze feel so incredibly alive. It literally blurs the line between fantasy and reality, which is just insane. Artists with this level of talent are extremely rare, which makes this even crazier. This legendary masterpiece was just casually painted right onto a cracked old concrete wall. Yet the director and the children walk right past it without even pausing to look.
It shows this painting has completely blended into the orphanage.
Becoming an everyday presence they are as used to as breathing. Noticing their slow and lingering footsteps, the director finally turns back to look. Oh, I forgot to mention, 11 painted this himself, just to prove his chosen name was the absolute best option.
He covered the entire orphanage in painted flowers, even if you cannot see them from the outside. But everyone who visits knows our Huaji orphanage is exactly what the name suggests. A literal box packed full of beautiful flowers.
Then, a sudden clatter.
The old director pushes open his office window and sits down on the comfortable guest sofa.
Now let us talk, he says, since you suddenly showed up here without saying a single word.
What exactly do you want to find out? Wang Fugi asks, sitting across from him.
Glancing at the empty teapot, he calmly requests to hear the entire story.
He wants to know every detail about Achi's past, but the old director just snorts. You did not care when you first learned his identity, but now you suddenly show up? Did 11 cause some massive trouble at your place that you cannot handle on your own? Wang Fugi fires back, stating there is nothing his family cannot solve.
I just realized his upbringing might have been extremely out of the ordinary. So I wanted to come and understand.
Though there is another reason. You just realized you cannot control this kid. Right, the old director scoffs, exposing him completely. If 11 was just some ordinary, boring kid, you probably would not have bothered making this trip at all. I do not deny that if Wang Xi was simple.
If he was a kid whose entire future was easy to predict, I would not have come.
I could easily imagine his upbringing, but he is truly an arrogant father. The director looks annoyed at first, but then lets out a cheeky, mischievous smirk. Unfortunately for you, 11 and ordinary are on completely opposite ends of the spectrum.
Never mind a stranger like you who only met him a few short days ago.
Even I, who raised him for over 10 years, do not dare to say I fully understand him.
Over 10 years? Wang Fuwei raises his eyebrow, asking if the director had not rescued him as a baby? The old director, who had been extremely grumpy and critical since the start, suddenly goes quiet. His smile fades, and he takes a moment to grow serious.
I was indeed the one who first found him, but I did not stay here the entire time. When the boy was around 6 or 7 years old, my own son passed away. I was absolutely devastated by the loss and resigned from my position here. My wife and I moved to another city, and I did not return until 3 years later. The old director slowly hunches over even more, covering his worn face with his hands. That remains the absolute biggest regret of my life, because before I left, little 11 could still talk normally. He was perfectly healthy, but by the time I finally returned, he had become dangerously thin and completely refused to speak to anyone anymore. Wang Fugui's pupils contract as dark rumors about this orphanage suddenly rush into his mind. Horrific news headlines flash through his head, making him almost want to jump up from his seat. Fortunately, the old director notices his panic and quickly clarifies that it is not what he thinks. It has nothing to do with those news stories, but his heart still pounds wildly. Wang Fugui fights off a sudden wave of dizziness, trying to stay calm. So it was just the common bullying found in orphanages? He asks, as the dean looks bitter. Mr. Wang, you must understand how things work when people gather together.
Someone who is way too special in a crowd usually gets treated in one of two extreme ways. Either get completely isolated, and during those 3 years, 11
faced exactly that, but the kid was the type to always hold a grudge.
He never backed down, and if anyone dared bully him,
he would retaliate 10 times harder to get even. But 11 was too smart, and his clever revenge tricks backfired under the old director. He was labeled a complete little monster, so eventually, not just the other kids, but even the director and teachers treated him as someone they could freely
target and abuse, no matter how brilliant he was.
He was still just a kid. On one side stood the entire orphanage,
and on the other was 11, stubbornly refusing to ever bow down.
This war lasted for 3 years, and by the time I finally returned, 11 was completely closed off, making the happy laughter of the kids downstairs feel miles away.
As the afternoon sun poured through the window, Wang Fugui sat in dead silence.
He looked like a frozen statue. That is all I can tell you about those 3 years. I honestly do not know the exact details because I got back way too late. I came back too late. Wang Fugui asked, and what happened after that? Did his situation improve? Well, at least nobody dared to bully him anymore. Director Sun gave a bitter smile. It took me a very long time, just to get him to call me Grandpa again. Wang Fugui suddenly recalled something.
He said he gave you a literal concussion before he actually called you that.
The old man froze, completely embarrassed that the kid had actually exposed him like that. He rubbed his thinning hair awkwardly and admitted he never really had any elder authority anyway. Back when he was a kid, he loved pulling my beard so much that I never dared grow one again. Wang Fugui bowed slightly, offering a soft apology. It sounds like he put you through a lot, but the director snapped back, "Do not act like his parent." The director looked displeased when I was busy cleaning up his endless messes. You did not even know he existed. Wang Fugui had absolutely no comeback for that. But then the old man slumped his shoulders, admitting he was not exactly a perfect guardian either. Apart from being gone for those 3 years, I failed him again later. When he turned 14, I actually let him run away from home. He was gone for a whole year, and I searched everywhere for him.
I could not find him anywhere, but then he just returned on his own.
This history is low-key heartbreaking. Wang Fugui ended up staying the night at Huaji River. This was totally unexpected because he had already booked a late-night first-class flight. He was supposed to head back to Yushang for a massive company meeting tomorrow morning. But everything he learned today at the orphanage was just too shocking to ignore. Before he knew it, he had already ordered Secretary Feng to cancel the entire morning meeting. Secretary Feng asked if he should book a hotel, warning him there was only one high-end place. It is not great, and you probably will not like it unless we clean it first. We need to hire a cleaning crew in advance, the secretary suggested while searching on his phone.
Do not let Wang Fugui's calm demeanor fool you. This guy is a literal billionaire,
with insanely high standards for everything he eats, wears, and lives in. Honestly, he has 3 personal assistants working in constant shifts just to handle his daily routine. The actual notebook they keep to track his hyper-specific habits and preferences is so thick, it is honestly no exaggeration to call it an encyclopedia. While everyone else is drowning in paperwork, our wealthy young master Wang Fugui is built different. He stands under the decaying roof of the old orphanage, watches the dusk fall, and suddenly changes his mind. He announces he is staying the night, shocking his highly professional assistant, Secretary Feng. The secretary cannot even hide the utter disbelief written all over her face.
She asks if he is sure, since the accommodation here is pretty terrible.
But Wang Fugui has already turned around to address the orphanage's director's son. He asks if he can stay the night, leaving the old director completely stunned. The director strokes his non-existent beard and gives a super reluctant nod. Pushing his luck, Wang Fugui asks if he can wander around the place after dark. The director just snorts like an angry old bull and stomps away. Taking that silence as a yes, Wang Fugui dismisses Secretary Feng to start his solo mission. And so his solo adventure in Huaji begins, but tonight the whole Wang family is sleepless. Wang Fugui is so hyped on his late-night orphanage exploration that he does not sleep. Meanwhile, poor Wang Ruoxi is constantly jolted awake by nightmares of violent slaps. Next door, Han Meimei is tossing and turning, crying one minute and laughing the next. Over in a foreign hotel, Wang Dabao lies awake, wondering about all the family drama. He stares at the ceiling until dawn, but our main character, the literal cause of this insomnia, sleeps like a baby without a single dream. Not gonna lie, I wish that was me. The next day, a guilty Wang Ruoxi invites our protagonist to visit her entertainment agency. Tong Xiao is a top star, but the only thing our protagonist actually knows is his insanely famous trending relationship with Ruoxi, known as the Xiaoxi couple. They just broke up again, so once they arrive at the agency, our main character uses lunch to gossip with Ruoxi's assistant, Xiao Han, asking why on earth this couple keeps breaking up and getting back together. Xiao Han nervously bites her chopsticks, hesitating for a long moment before speaking. She begs our main character to keep it a secret from Sister Shi. After receiving a frantic nod of agreement, Xiao Han spills all the tea. Tong Xiao knew her elite background from day one, but her dazzling family status did absolutely nothing to help their romance. Instead, it made him super insecure, even though the Wang parents are pretty open-minded. They are still old money aristocrats at the end of the day. They will not stop their daughter's dating life, but they definitely do not support her marrying some actor, which leaves poor Ruoxi in a tough spot. She is dating with marriage in mind, but her high-class parents refuse to even meet Tong Xiao, and not because they hate him. It is not about malicious contempt, but a natural elitist attitude. They look down on ordinary folks, basically telling her that they know she is serious. So they will not stop her, but settling down right now is pure fantasy. They told her to come back in a few years if they still want to marry. Until then, there is zero reason to meet, passing down this brutal message. This icy treatment instantly triggered their very first breakup, and yep, it gets worse. Ruoxi had to chase him down to get him back, but the struggle is far from over. Her family's unyielding attitude remains a massive wall between them. It drives Tong Xiao to initiate breakups over and over again, only to be chased back by a persistent Ruoxi. Honestly, they're probably used to it by now. Xiao Han says that right in the middle of all this, things went south. Sister Shi lost her mind, threw a massive tantrum at her family, and even threatened to cut ties completely. The main character raised his head, eyes practically shining with pure excitement.
She ran away from home? What happened next?
Xiao Han gets startled by this sudden hype and stutters that Tong Xiao actually took her in. That was probably their happiest phase. But then the eldest young master of the Wang family met up with Sister Shi. Just like that, Sister Shi went back home. What a massive brother complex.
Wait, it gets crazier.
Xiao Han continues, saying that Sister Shi returning to her family was already bad enough. This sent her relationship with Tong Xiao to an absolute freezing point, and then we find out her younger brother is Wang Ye. He threatened Tong Xiao, forcing another breakup.
Xiao Han still vividly remembers that scene. The young master of the Wang family wearing insane luxury clothes like they were pajamas.
He stood there, looking completely insufferable. He coldly told him that his parents and sister are all respectable, decent adults. They did not want to hurt him, but he honestly thought Tong Xiao was a mature adult too. But you should at least understand how the real world works, but apparently not. Seeing how you clung to my sister for years without letting go, he realized he completely misjudged him. But that is fine. He will gladly spell it out for Mr. Hong. Do you even know my sister's baseline? Wang Ye stood right before Tong Xiao, who was already a massive celebrity. He tugged at his sponsored clothes, saying that his sister's baseline is literally miles ahead. The absolute peak he had spent his entire life crawling toward in show business. And yet his clothes are still cheaper than their nannies, but hey, he makes good money now. But his ride is still worse than the dedicated car their maid uses just to go grocery shopping. What about his sister's usual standards? He probably wouldn't even comprehend it if he explained, but basically, he is out of her league.
Even if Tong Xiao reaches the very peak of the industry, he would still be a nobody.
Only be qualified to sing and dance like a jester to entertain them. And his sister, no matter how passionate she is about her acting career, will never become a circus monkey performing next to him. She will always sit in the VIP front row. Watching him sing and dance like an elegant VIP guest, so did he finally get it, Mr. Hong? Or does he have to keep pretending, dragging her down from the audience onto the stage? Just to put on a show and play pretend for their tragic love story.
Our main character is biting his spoon in absolute shock. Since when did this guy become so incredibly savage?
This does not sound like the Wang Ye we know at all.
Did knowing about our main character's existence somehow crack his brain? Did his brain actually turn to mush? Xiao Han is completely speechless that this is the main character's only takeaway. Like, does he not feel bad for Tong Xiao?
Xiao Han chokes up, saying that if it wasn't for the wealthy Wang family, their love story wouldn't have been this tragic. The guy is literally a dedicated shipper. Just talking about it completely drains the guy's energy. Back then, young Master Wang Ye got absolutely blasted by Sister Shi for pulling that stunt. But that didn't fix anything, and Tong Xiao barely smiled ever again after that day.
They kept breaking up and getting back together, but honestly,
Tong Xiao never truly recovered from those brutal words. Talk about serious emotional damage.
So they choose to live in misery? Honestly, that is so bizarre. Like, if it's really that painful, why not just break up already?
But Sister Shi refuses to let go. Xiao Han says she truly loves Tong Xiao. They've been at it for years, but does Tong Xiao actually love Wang Ruoqi back? If they're so in love, why can't they just stay loyal to each other?
Didn't the Wang family say they'd have a chance if they stayed together?
But that's just talk. Just look at how they refuse to even meet. They will never agree. At this point, why not just end it? Xiao Han literally choked, his eye twitching at the simple question.
Sister Shi won't let go, and Tong Xiao still has feelings for her.
Then why not just commit? Xiao Han was low-key losing his mind here. Forgetting our boy is the boss's brother, he clutched his hair, begging him to stop. But Wang Shiyi wasn't playing. He was genuinely curious. Speechless, Xiao Han could only stammer that love is never that simple. Honestly, our MC has a point here. How does a couple break up endless times? And still stay stuck in pain? It's just pure self-sabotage. If he ever fell in love, even if the entire world opposed them, and dragged them through the mud, he wouldn't even blink.
If he loves someone, he'll never let any obstacle
or anyone cause a misunderstanding, let alone let them doubt his feelings. If he loves someone, even if he has to suffer through hell, he'll make sure they're happy. So honestly, all those years of breaking up, it just means they don't love enough.
Choosing endless pain over letting go completely?
Or choosing to firmly commit is just straight-up masochism.
Xiao Han was absolutely stunned by this speech, completely speechless. Hearing that declaration makes even me want to date you, bro.
But our MC just sighed, saying he'd be hard to please anyway. Xiao Han snapped out of it, instantly looking incredibly embarrassed. Wang Ye apologized, admitting he was just speaking out of turn. He didn't mean to judge her for not being decisive enough. It was more about his own personal issues, making Xiao Han curious. But our boy had no plans to share. After finishing dinner, the rest of the day flew by. He spent the next few days working with Wang Worksy, until she went on a variety show, and right there, he ran into an unexpected old acquaintance while helping her out. An old friend he never ever expected to see again. Boom! Enter Yuan Meng, the Qi god, with even Wang Fugui under her wing. The woman holding the black umbrella smirked, asking why Wang Yi wouldn't look up. Or did he dump his old sisters the moment he got a new one? Hearing that obvious trigger word, Wang Roxy immediately locked eyes with Yuan Meng.
Her face instantly masked itself in a flawless, top-tier actress smile.
Asking if she knew her brother, Yuan Meng just let out a mocking laugh.
Your brother? Real brother? She sneered, slowly turning her gaze to our boy.
Wait, you actually have a real sister? Let me guess, a real family too? But right off the bat, Wang Ruaxi can feel the bad vibes radiating from Miss Yuan, pure, icy malice.
Flashing a fake, polite smile, Ryoxi remarks that Miss Yuan and her little brother seem to have quite a history.
Yuan Meng just smirks, claiming they definitely have history.
An ill-fated connection, a massive red flag. She mocks him, asking why he still does not even dare to lift his head and look her in the eye. But our main character Wang Shi just sighs, looks straight at her, and challenges her, asking who exactly is too scared. Before Ruoxi can step in, Yuan Ming leans right into Shi's face.
She taunts him, asking why he is avoiding her when it has literally been years.
Is he still that disgusted, or is there a darker reason?
Asking if he is afraid her face will remind him of that deceased person, she tilts her head toward Ruoxi. She directly asks if Shi Yi ever called her sister.
Ruoxi, holding an umbrella over Wang Ci, feels her brow twitch.
Keeping her composure, Ruoxi asks what else her brother would possibly call her.
Yuan Meng just steps back, saying he broke his promise.
She asks if vows are useless once someone dies.
At this point, Shi just laughs. Honestly, why act like such a loving sister now? He mockingly asks if he needs to remind her of how she behaved when her sister was alive. She was incredibly cold, while her late sister constantly tried to win her over. He absolutely roasts her, calling her out for playing the grieving sister when it is too late. Suddenly, lightning strikes. It briefly illuminates Yuan Meng's pale face. Her lips twitch, and she completely stops talking to Shi Yi. Instead, she turns to Roaxi, dropping some chilling tea about his dark background.
She wonders if a monster like Shi Yi could even have real parents.
Honestly, they believed he was way too twisted to be born normal. She even claims that his real family must be completely insane. Then comes the warning, telling Roaxi to watch her back. And then boom, she claims Shi Yi personally killed the last person he called sister. She walks away, leaving a heavy, funeral-like silence behind. Back home, Shi Yi heads upstairs to wash off the rain. Meanwhile, Roxy hands Yuan Ming's autograph to their father, Wang Fugui. She explains how hostile the girl was, glancing nervously at Han Mei. Roxy hesitates, but Mei tells her to just speak up. Mei laughs it off, asking if they think she is too fragile. But then, Roxy drops the bomb, revealing that Yuan Meng called Wang Xi a monster. She adds that she accused him of killing his previous sister. Hearing this, Mei freezes, completely. Roshi turns to her father, asking if he ever investigated Xi's past.
She wants answers. She gets nothing.
Instead, she is sent to shower while the parents talk privately. Fugi sighs, admitting he thought she would balance both sides. Leaning on his shoulder, Mamie sadly confesses she really tried. But here's the thing, young Xi keeps forcing her to make an impossible choice.
She feels like his bad behavior at the banquets is entirely intentional.
Even locking Wang Yi outside was a calculated move. He is basically forcing her to choose between him and Wang Ye. Hey Mei's voice drops real low as she sighs, saying she literally had no other choice.
Sounding slightly resentful, she admits he was her only choice.
She's never wronged a single soul in her life, except for her own youngest son, Xiaoqi.
Wang Fugui just smiles warmly, bringing up how when Wang Ye fainted,
She didn't even scold him, which low-key shocked him when he first found out. If their other kid, Wang Rulshi, had pulled a stunt like that, she'd already be getting beat.
But Han Mei can just feel that Xiaoxi is built different. He's a very special kid. She mutters under her breath, saying she always feels like
She can't just treat him like a normal mother would.
honestly, she's not even sure if his special nature is a good thing or a bad thing. And if it turns out bad, she feels like she's definitely the one to blame.
She believes they both have a duty to share this burden.
Sighing deeply, she says that even if Xiaoxi turns out to be a bad kid, it's still their fault, so they absolutely have to accept and tolerate him.
At least watch over him so he doesn't cause some massive disaster they can't fix. All right then, Wang Fugi chuckles, placing the very last flower into the vase.
He suggests they just pretend they're rookie parents starting all over again from 20 years ago.
Good thing they still have time, though if our MC, Xiaozi, was listening,
He would have definitely laughed at his dad's confidence. For over 10 years,
Our MC lived in absolute, suffocating loneliness, unable to fit in even when surrounded by crowds.
whether people loved him, hated him, or outright resented him made no difference.
he just couldn't comprehend human emotions. Coming back to the Wang family was literally just an experiment for him to try and understand what feelings even are. The very next day, his contract fiancée says she's taking him to visit the Qin family. But once they're in the car, she goes totally silent, so he has to ask.
Shouldn't she give him a heads up about her family, or at least introduce them?
No need. Qinran turns to him with a grin. He can just wing it. So he warns her not to blame him if he absolutely ruins the whole meeting. Qinran just scoffs, smiling as she tells him she's actually looking forward to it. And honestly, it goes about as badly as expected. Her dad plays the fake polite gentleman,
Instantly grilling him, asking if he's still just a college student at his age.
He asks where our MC is studying and if he's even started.
Working at the Wang family business yet, which is already incredibly passive-aggressive.
But since his tone is so gentle, he masks it perfectly as caring elder energy.
our MC just stares and asks if answering all this is even necessary to marry Qinran.
He thought just having the marriage certificate was enough, but her dad is like, of course not.
Getting registered is one thing, but if they're actually going to have a wedding, they need to figure out exactly how many groom etiquette classes he needs to take. Our MC just tilts his head, wondering if he literally just misheard this guy.
That's when Qinran finally speaks up, coldly declaring that he doesn't need any classes.
She states she has zero intention of forcing him into the Qin family's rigid, useless rules.
Looking right at her dad, her voice is completely laced with pure ice. And honestly, you can practically feel the tension in the room spike. The fake polite smile on that old gentleman's face literally twitches for a second. With that, their incredibly awkward and tense little chat finally comes to an end. Rand gets pulled away by his dad for a quick work chat, leaving Wang to tour the massive estate.
Right by the artificial lake, he bumps into Qin Yao, the Qin family's adopted daughter.
Wang looks at her. This girl is easily 1.7 meters tall, but she is straight up struggling with a fish until a servant steps in to help. She finally reels in a catfish. It is honestly pretty small, definitely nothing huge. Yet she is still panting and wiping sweat from her forehead like she ran a marathon. Talk about fragile. Once she finally catches her breath, she starts introducing herself.
She explains she is Qin Yao, a kid from one of the family branch lines.
Due to her weak health, her uncle sponsored her, and now she is basically his adopted daughter. Apparently, a ton of kids from other branch families have been showing up lately. She warns him that he will meet a few troublemakers at dinner. But with the eldest sister around, nobody will dare mess with you anyway. Wang gets pretty curious. Is this some kind of special family gathering?
Is the legendary Qin family actually some warm, loving household that gets along?
Qin Yao just laughs. Zero chance.
They are straight up here to fight for the heir position.
She just drops this absolute bomb so casually that Wang has to look closer. Is replacing the heir really pointless, even if Big Sister can never stand up again?
It wouldn't hurt her ability to rule. She has no idea why her uncle is doing this. Apparently, their relationship is totally falling apart. It is low-key terrifying.
Wang suddenly cuts in, asking when exactly she officially became the family's adopted daughter.
She was only 7 or 8, right on the edge of dying from illness.
Her uncle and aunt saved her. At that, she briefly drifts into memory.
But the official adoption only happened recently, though she never really cared either way.
Since they both wanted it, she just went with the flow. Wang just lets out this highly suspicious hum, smelling a major plot twist.
Like he just found a brand new toy, he leans forward slightly. He rests his elbows on his knees, propping up his chin.
His pitch-black eyes lock onto Qin Yao, sizing her up like she is just a piece of meat.
Which means she is officially on the list of potential heirs too.
Qin Yao practically bursts out laughing, telling young Master Wang to stop joking with her.
There is absolutely no reason to target her when her body is this weak. She says living to 30 would be a miracle, so she is definitely not eyeing the throne.
Leaning back with a sigh, she says even if they handed her the crown,
she would literally drop dead on day 1 trying to run this massive empire.
It is way too much for a sick girl to handle. Wang just leans back too. He seems totally convinced by how weak she is, dropping his suspicion.
But then he speaks, cold as ice, showing absolutely zero sympathy. He tells her that human desire has absolutely nothing to do with physical health. This world has 8-year-old thieves and 80-year-old creeps who still drool over young girls. If you want the crown, even if she dies tomorrow, that will not stop her from plotting today. The lakeside falls completely silent until a cold breeze sweeps through.
Then Qin Yao suddenly starts laughing, just a quiet chuckle at first.
But soon she is doubling over, laughing so hard she can barely breathe. But her laughter quickly turns into a harsh cough, getting more painful by the second. Wang Ye watches Qin Yao clutch her chest, curling up on the ground in pure agony. Her face is twisted in horror. Wang Ye steps closer. Is she okay?
He gently pats her back, which is constantly rising and falling from the sheer violent intensity of her coughing.
But as he pulls out his phone to call Qinran, someone suddenly snatches it away. His reflexes kick in. He tries to grab it back, but only catches her collar. And get this, Qin Yao actually looks completely calm as she falls backward into the lake. Her weight drags Wang Ye forward a step, and for a second it looks like he is going down too. But nah, he lets go instantly. She hits the water with a massive splash. Instantly, screams echo from the distance, and a mob of angry voices starts rushing his way. They are already yelling that Sister Qin Yao was pushed and someone is trying to murder her. Wang Ye just watches the chaotic crowd. He calmly accepts the reality of the situation. It is clear that this invitation to the Qin family was never about welcoming him at all. It is a vicious trap. Honestly, no wonder Qinran told him to play along.
Cut to a high-end medical room where the heart monitor is constantly beeping.
Out in the hallway, Qinrong stands by the window with his back to Qinran, completely silent.
What do you plan to do?
Her response is totally flat.
Her voice is totally flat, showing zero emotion about the whole situation.
That absolutely triggers Qinrong, who spins around, slamming his cane hard against the floor. He fumes. The fiancé she chose is a total menace. On his very first day visiting the Qin family, he allegedly pushed Qin Yao into the lake. Knowing how weak Qin Yao is, this is basically a straight-up attempt at murder. It is rare to see the old patriarch this furious, his face wrinkling up with pure rage. He admits he already heard rumors about the Wang family's wild third young master. Rumors say Wang Ye is a lawless rebel who even made his own grandmother faint. But simply because Qinran woke up, the old man was willing to give him a shot. But looking at his actions now, the old man's anger quickly turns into deep, painful disappointment. He points at Qinran. Look at yourself! Qin Yao is her childhood sister, and now she is lying in a hospital bed with her life on the line. Yet Qinran shows zero emotion, and all for that troublemaker, Wang Ye. They barely even know each other, but Qinran just stares back with a cold, blank look. When she asks what he wants, Qinran coldly declares that the engagement is officially canceled. The wedding is off. Meanwhile, Wang Ye is just chilling in the reception room.
he is surrounded by all the obnoxious cousins of the Qin family who are glaring at him intensely. They start yelling, demanding why he pushed Sister Qin Yao and calling it straight up murder.
One of them mocks him, saying his gig as the eldest sister's fiancé is definitely over after today.
They sneer. You can't lie your way out of this, since we all saw it.
They warn him not to think his fiancé's backing will keep him safe. After all, Qin Yao's status in the family is practically on par with Qin Ran's.
Silence. They immediately claim he is just too guilty to speak.
A finger pokes his shoulder. Wang Ye smoothly dodges it.
They hate that. A bunch of arrogant rich kids start crowding around him. They look ready to throw hands, but suddenly a freezing voice cuts through the room.
Qin Rong walks in, instantly freezing the atmosphere, and sits down right across from Wang Ye.
The old patriarch looks at him and says that out of respect for their families,
I am not going to call the cops, but in return, I expect something from you.
You need to cancel your engagement with Qing Ran, because I cannot accept a son-in-law who tries to murder a patient.
I hope you can understand why I cannot have someone like you in my family.
Our main character just stares at him silently, asking if he is not even going to check if he actually pushed her.
Or maybe wait until she wakes up to ask? A mocking smirk plays on Xingrong's face.
But before the uncle can even speak, those annoying branch family kids start pointing fingers again.
They completely explode! Is that even a question?
We all saw it with our own eyes. You pushed Sister Qin Yao while she was coughing.
All of us saw it, so how could it be fake? Do you dare deny pushing Sister Qin Yao? Xingrong takes a quick glance at Qingran before casually looking away.
Yep, I pushed her.
Instantly, the entire room goes dead silent as Xingrong just raises an eyebrow. The uncle's face darkens even more, saying it is great the third young master is admitting it. Otherwise, they would have just waited for Qin Yao to wake up and tell them anyway. But Xingrong just smiles, saying there is no need to ask her because he will confess everything. He smirks and asks if they are not even a little curious about why he did it,
since he had never even met her before today and did not even know her name.
Why would he attack someone with zero grudge? Hearing this, Qinlong's eye twitches with unease. Just as the uncle is about to dismiss it, someone from the branch family speaks up.
They ask if it is because she was talking trash about Qingran behind her back.
The room goes dead quiet for a second before completely exploding into chaotic chatter. No way! Stop talking nonsense. They claim Sister Qin Yao would never do that since she is super close with the eldest sister. Xingrong calmly grabs a piece of cake he had been eyeing, takes a bite, and interrupts them. Actually, it is not just Qingran.
She actually talked trash about all of you, complaining about how many branch family kids recently crawled in. He thought they were one big happy family, but she said they are only here to grab power.
Calling them low-blooded parasites who are dreaming impossible dreams despite being completely worthless. They rushed over the second the main family called, desperate to lick her uncle's shoes. All just to replace Qingran, even though she said you bunch can never leap the Dragon Gate. According to her, you are just worms, meant to squirm in the mud and end up as fish bait.
That is actually insane. Everyone is trying to deny it, but this truth hits way too close to home.
Having their deepest insecurities exposed so openly makes everyone's faces flush bright red with embarrassment.
Before anyone can even process this, Xingrong suddenly points his finger across the room.
Xingrong points across the room. And you, Uncle Qin?
She called you a ruthless old geezer who wants to discard Qingran now that she is crippled.
And that you would use all these branch family bait without showing a single shred of mercy.
But she was glad she inherited your blood.
Whatever you can do, she can do too. With that, our guy finishes his dessert. He smacks his lips and tilts his head with the most innocent look, staring right at Qinlong. She is your actual biological daughter, Uncle Qin. Like, wait, does this mean you have an illegitimate daughter besides Qingran?
Qinlong, who was calmly watching him talk trash a second ago, completely loses his mind.
He violently slams his hands down and stands up as the tension in the room explodes. The bright lights show everyone how hard his chest is heaving in pure, unbridled rage. It looks like a volcano is trapped inside him, ready to blow any second.
No one has ever seen Qinrong like this, especially the newer estate servants.
Honestly, even his own daughter Qin Ran has never seen him this furious.
Years ago, the local elite circle only knew him through other people. He was just President Qi's husband, Qinran's dad, or the old patriarch's son. Basically, he was known as a totally average guy with zero real talent. With no ambition or ruthlessness, everyone looked down on him. People always talked about him with a pretty disrespectful tone. But everything changed when his genius daughter Qinran grew up. Everyone naturally started calling her the true head of the Qin family. Normally, she should have just been a little Qin while her dad ruled. But poor Qinrong spent 30 years in his father's shadow without his turn. Just like that, his own daughter snatched the title right from him. Talk about brutal. It is like an emperor skipping his son for the grandson.
Back then, everyone wanted to see him snap, but he stayed quiet.
He accepted the humiliation gracefully at every major social event.
He played the role of a humble, gentle gentleman to a T. Eventually, the whispers died down, and people forgot his embarrassing past. No one remembered his messy past, and they only saw a kind leader. To the public, he was just a generous philanthropist and a tolerant boss. But here is the thing, they only ever call him President Qin.
That ultimate title of family head representing real power never lands on him.
Still, he always wore that calm smile, like nothing could ever faze him. He never showed anger or embarrassment. Well, until now. Watching his chest heave with pure rage, several young masters start panicking. Even the wealthy young ladies in the room look genuinely terrified. Somehow, Qinrong manages to hold back his anger with insane self-control. He takes a slow, deep breath and glares right at young Master Wang. He tells him, "I do not mean to discipline you for your parents. But your words are not to slandering the victim, Qin Yao. They are a direct insult to me, and even Qinran's late mother." But young Master Wang just shrugs, claiming he meant no disrespect.
He says even if Qin Yao is lying, she is only accusing you.
What does any of this have to do with your dead wife?